So Tim, you're gonna laugh at this.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking here on GarageBand as we're recording this, and I'm looking on the track for that opening music of yours, which is awesome, by the way. And there's a symbol on this track, and it doesn't exist in any others, and I don't even know what this symbol means, but it's a symbol I've seen a million times. But you know what? It means something new to me now. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's the symbol of danger.
Why?
It's the danger Will Robinson symbol that the robot does on Lost in Space.
Is it? Oh,
my God. Exactly that symbol. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is creepy.
Wade
this
and
is
I
really
are
creepy.
both seriously into the. What is that? Netflix?
It's Netflix, man.
Netflix, Lost in Space, dude.
And you're the one that told me, because I said we have to fill everybody in on this. First, if you have not yet watched Lost in Space on Netflix, just do it. Just do it.
No matter how dumb you remember that original 60s or 70s?
65
series was. You were correct. That series was dumb. Oh wow!
It was just the original show was just every episode of the original show, and we were just talking about this. Irwin Allen said it'll be Swiss Family Robinson in space, which of course it never was. And the 1998 movie wasn't that either. Everybody kind of lost track of that was the original idea. Let's sort of take this classic story of a family and survival and blow it out into the space age. But they never actually did that. The new series does that for the first time. It's finally honoring that premise. And they went back to the original unaired pilot and they developed it from that. And I think it's just genius. It's beautiful what they're doing with this show. The cast.
Many people doing excellent work, including Parker Posey. Playing Dr. Smith, kind of.
So good.
And she is just so good.
I thought it was going to be so bad. I was like, do we really need Lost in Space again? And you told me.
I was sitting here watching it.
You told me, you said, dude, watch it. You're going to love it. It's just, it's firing on all cylinders. And it's a terrific show.
Yeah, very, very, very bright. It's thinking. You know what's clear? Those people watched that original series, and sort of incorporated everything that was nutty and messy and incorrect and wrong about it. Reversed all of that and made themselves a good television program.
What I really love about it is that it is, as Swiss Family Robinson is to a great extent, it's all about the girls. It's all about the women.
Yeah.
To a great extent,
without diminishing the men.
No, not at all.
But it's about the women. These women have they're all smart. But they're all different, and they have they are self-actualizing women. They're not waiting for men or boys to tell them or to let them do anything. Particularly Maureen.
And in point of fact, I think they also realized that Dr. Smith, who was not an original part of the concept, but who sort of took over the show because Jonathan Harris is such a ridiculously oversized overactor, and that's where it went astray. They figured, okay, we still have to obviously integrate Dr. Smith because the character precipitates so much of the drama. But let's face it, Dr. Smith on the original show, Jonathan Harris notwithstanding, was a girl.
He was
a girl. And
you could get away with that in 1965.
And you could. So what they did was they replaced him with a girl, but they didn't make her a girl. That's really smart. And
they took the notion of sociopath. And they let it and they let it play.
Oh, completely.
But they don't make it. She's not insane.
No.
She has reasons.
She has a worldview which she articulates at several points, one in particular. And even if you don't like her, even if you don't share her worldview, you do have to give her props.
Oh, you have to go, that ain't crazy.
No.
That ain't crazy at all.
No.
Yeah, but there you go. Oh, man, good stuff. Anyway. How we get on that? Crazy.
It's, I'll tell you, I'm just, it's, there's a lot of junk on Netflix. But you sift through it and you do find some good stuff. Now I gotta watch that Western. What's the Western called?
You talking about Westworld? Or that's HBO?
No. There's a Western.
Oh, the one with
Michelle Dockery.
Yeah, and all that.
Which
I've heard about that.
My Facebook feed keeps punching me in the face with clips from it. It looks amazing. So,
is that Godless? Is that the one?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, Godless.
Yeah. And by the way, the other little story of the week. Have you heard about the projection issues with Solo?
No.
The Star Wars film?
I mean, I know there are a lot of issues with Solo, box office being one of them, but what about projection?
This is a visual issue. So our guy who was the DP, we love him to death. He was DP for
on Solo.
On Solo. Anyway,
let me get it real quick. We need to know.
He did the Ed Zwick film, and he's done terrific DP. He's a wizard with light. So he articulates a lot of stuff with low light. He's been really heavily experimenting with low light situations, especially with digital, because he can get richer light sensitivity out of digital than he's ever been able to get out of film. So that's why Solo has so many sequences, especially when you're in Lando's lair and everything is very dark. He really tried to make certain parts of it very, very dark, very low light. Yes.
Bradford, of course. Arrival and Selma.
Yes, Arrival, yes. So
Most Violent Year, Bradford Young.
Amazing cinematographer. So he's experimenting with a lot of low light, but it's revealing just how many theaters are not up to snuff. Their projection standards are lacking because their bulbs or their projectors are not bright enough, and a lot of people are saying, I can't see anything on the screen. So
interesting.
Yeah, but it took this film to expose that there are literally hundreds of screens that are not meeting standards for bulb brightness.
Not enough lumens.
Not enough either.
Actually, the bulb not bright enough, the projector not strong enough to project that movie at the brightness to be projected at. Even though he deliberately.
That's right.
Who shot The Godfather?
Gordon Willis. Same deal.
They called him the Prince of Darkness.
That's right.
He's one
Same
of those
kind of deal.
And so he pulled one of those. But because the in theaters,
people have been they're cheap. But
it's not him. It's these theaters.
It's the theaters. And there's a guy who there was a whole thing on IndieWire about this. There's a guy who works for some operation who is he's a tech guy. He's an engineer. And he's mad about this, and he's not naming any of the theaters because he wants to contact the technical personnel at the theaters and raise the issue with them. Which is a classy thing to do, but I still want to know the theater.
You know what it is? Because it could be something as cheap as not changing the bulbs on proper schedule.
Could be.
Because they do diminish over hours.
But there's really no... And there's also the issue of, there's engineering, there's math involved in this, which is at a certain brightness of bulb, a certain throw to the screen, and a certain kind of screen. The screen has to have a certain reflectivity as well that matches the bulb. I mean, all these things have to sort of work in tandem. But let's face it, if you have digital projection, those are cheap bulbs.
Yeah.
That bulb is going to cost you like $40, $50 tops, maybe $100 or $200 tops, as opposed to those insane bulbs that 35 millimeter projectors have, which cost like $1,200 to replace one of those bulbs. They're insanely expensive.
They would last for years.
Those arc bulbs, those arc bulbs, those things. I mean, they last for years, but they're crazy expensive, and they burn super hot. And they will destroy your your optic nerve if you don't
look at them. It's like the sun.
Yeah. So it's I mean, come on, you're already saving money just from the standard alone. So.
Interesting though that this was revealed.
With this film, because everything's too bright these days.
Yeah.
Everything's shot just straight up bright. Nobody does that thing anymore. So Bradford Young is going in the Gordon Willis direction. He's trying to see. How far he can take it down, how far he can pull things out of the shadows, where he can really get that range, which I think is cool.
Oh, absolutely. Stop it down for a little bit. You're right. Everything has been shot. And it started with that dadgum 48 frames per second.
Yeah.
I mean, it started before that, but that was like the apex of it. That movie, it was like it was relieved from the screen and lit with just a 10,000K art like from the front. A high key light, and it was just the most horrible thing I'd ever seen.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy,
indeed,
oh boy.
Indeed.
All right.
Well, I'm going to start off. I'm going to kill out some anime here. We got a whole lot of really great anime this month, this week in particular. Some really great stuff. Cinedigm, it has been Cinedigm was a big deal, and then they kind of went silent a little bit. And they're starting to really kind of crank up some stuff again. I'm really happy about this. So Cinedigm and Rooster Teeth are putting out Volume 5 of RWBY on Blu-ray and DVD and digital, but the Blu-ray is what we're talking about here, which is great. This is a terrific combo pack. It comes with a really cool sampler of the manga, 32 pages long, which is more than just a sampler. And if you haven't followed the whole RWBY storyline, there's no way that I'm going to be able to kind of catch you up on it right now. But it's one of the better mythical worlds. It's got a really cool, I love it when Japanese anime goes girl. When they go all girl, I love it. And there's a really cool mythical thing here centered around Haven Academy. And the characters are just really, really well developed, and it's just beautiful animation. It's terrific. We also have from Mill Creek. We're going to talk about more Mill Creek later, but Mill Creek has also gone a little bit anime. They've got an anime 3-series collection for a bargain price on DVD. If you're looking to kind of introduce yourself to the world of anime, this is not a bad way to do it. The 3 series here are Kurozuka, Ultraviolet Code 044, and Viper's Creed. Now, none of these are like top-tier anime. I wouldn't say that any of these are among the greatest anime ever done, but they're all really solid, and they're interesting, and this is about 14 hours worth of anime in 3 different series, and they sort of touch on all the different themes and aspects of it. That, if you're wondering, am I an anime person? Do I really want to dip my toe into this without buying one particular, I'm not going to go out and buy, this particular series and then not like it. No, this is a sampler. So this will kind of get you out of dry dock, and you'll be able to figure out if this is your thing. Totally weird, completely bizarre. Not at all how I feel about this. Satellite Girl and Milk Cow. Just look at the artwork, Tim, and tell me what you think. What does that make you think of?
Well, the things we can't talk about on this podcast, but it's literally a satellite girl and a milk cow. And what are you referring to specifically?
I'm referring to the fact that the milk cow has hair, has a hairstyle. The big giant milk cow that's standing on his feet.
I'm talking about the fact, looks like a beetle.
I'm talking about the fact that his ear is tagged.
Oh.
And I'm talking about the fact that there is an anthropomorphic roll of toilet paper standing next to him with legs and face and arms.
Yeah, that's just insane.
This is like something that belongs on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
This is it's really kind of weird and trippy, and
like those French fries. What was that with the
anthropomorphic food and all that nonsense. So basically, it's like science fiction and fantasy and who knows what else, but it's just really, really strange. So I don't know how to tell you anything else. It's Satellite Girl and Milk Cow. She turns into Satellite Girl, and then it's just weird. The whole thing. There's a lot of magic in this thing and a lot of lore, and I've got to believe it's somehow rooted in mythology. It is an interesting trajectory, but you gotta be pretty seriously into this stuff. It's just weird. Kabukibu, the complete collection, 12 episodes on 2 discs. This is Sente from section 23. Feudal Japan, represented in kabuki. This is, I don't know if anybody's ever seen kabuki theater in our listenership. I've seen kabuki once. Have you ever seen kabuki?
I love kabuki.
So kabuki is.
I saw some kabuki.
See, that's right. You've actually seen it in Japan. My goodness, that must have been a trip.
94. Yeah, that was great.
I saw it when I was a kid here in Little Tokyo, and I had to imagine that like L.A. kabuki is kind of like not top tier, It's like this. We're gonna do this for white people. Let's just make them feel. I don't know. It's just weird. But there's something
Gilbert
very
and Sullivan kabuki, that kind
sure
of thing.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing about kabuki is kabuki in anime is a whole different deal. Kabuki live is really dramatically very, very interesting, and I actually almost like it in many respects better than Peking opera if you're talking about a particular style of Asian performance art. It's a little bit more accessible. At least to Western dramatic sensibilities, but it still kind of has it's still connected at the hip to things like Peking opera and other ancient forms of Asian stage performance. In any case, Kabukibu is an anime tale that sort of uses that backdrop to spiral out what is one of these kind of high school dramas. And it's kind of half a tribute to kabuki and half a way of reinventing the Japanese anime high school drama. And I'm not sure how I feel about that either. It's really interesting. It's really interestingly animated. Can't say that I really connected to it in any great way, but it's definitely taking anime into a new direction. As long as we're talking about kids in school and that whole thing, one of the better ones in recent years that I have seen is the Anonymous Noise series, which is really highly stylized, has a lot of great action, and it's kind of more the same in some respects, but compared to most of that stuff, most of the high school politics and kids are cooler and more awesome than the adults. This one's one of the better ones. I actually like it. It was fun to watch, even if I didn't fully understand what was going on. As long as we're talking about girl-centric fantasy stuff, I'm going to say this is not quite as awesome as RWBY, but Sword Oratoria is pretty darn good as well. This is part of the Is It Wrong universe. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? This is somehow connected to that. And I am not immersed enough in that universe to know exactly how all of these characters interlock and interrelate. But Sword Oratoria is on its own. If you don't try to figure out all of the connective tissue, it's still pretty great. 12 episodes on this one, and it's a lot of fun. And then a whole bunch of stuff from Funimation. Let's try to go through this as quickly as we possibly can. A great and terrific box set of My Hero Academia Season 2 Part 1, which continues the superhero battle here, which is a little bit Avengery. It's Class 1A fighting the League of Villains. And if you're enjoying the Avengers, then you will by all means absolutely enjoy this as well. You will especially enjoy the characterizations, and you'll enjoy this UA Sports Festival. It's a fun universe. Ace Attorney Part 2 is also out in a Blu-ray DVD. These are all Blu-ray DVD combo packs, by the way, every single one of them. That is also out, and is the story of Phoenix Wright, defender of justice. Picks up where Part 1 ended, and continues to bring this really cool Japanese take on the legal drama into anime. If you like the sports stuff, All Out! ! Make sure there are 2 exclamation points. It's part of the title. All Out! Part 2. Continues the rugby aspects of the Kanagawa High rugby team. So it's a little bit of the high school thing coupled with the sports thing. And it's a little bit parochial, but still enjoyable. The complete series of elDLIVE. That's lowercase el, uppercase D live. The complete series. That's, again, a combo pack. This takes place in a middle school. And it is basically a science fiction fantasy about this kid who's recruited by a space force of law enforcers, and on top of that, he discovers that there's like this alien creature that's living inside him and talking to his head. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but somehow the animation is really sharp, and it's still really entertaining.
I love it.
We also have a live-action adaptation of Parasyte. That's Parasyte, Parasyte. Parasyte Parts 1 and 2, the live-action version, which is, basically like a alien parasite invasion stuff. It's okay. It doesn't work as well in live-action as it does in anime, I gotta say. Tsugumomo, the complete series, is I may take a little bit of research to get into this one. This is a fantasy world, and there's all kinds of magic and Harry Pottery kinds of rules going on that I never made much sense of. So that was hard to get into. I'm going to do my best to pronounce this one. Boy, this is really hard. This is also middle school politics in Tsukigakirei. Tsuki, and then I'm sure you can fill in the rest. Tsukigakirei. It's basically kind of junior high politics and life, and these kids, in love and romance and friendship, and it doesn't go into any fantastic places. There's not a lot of genre work going on here, so don't expect any genre stuff. And then we also have Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which is completely insane. It is entertaining. It is funny. I'm not sure how much of this is supposed to be funny. This is Japanese humor really at its most obscure and weird. When you wind up having people like having dragons, like literal dragons work for you. They're your servants.
I love it.
It's like, I mean, it's a literal dragon maid. It's not like, oh, she's a maid who's like a dragon. No, it's a dragon that's a maid. It's totally bizarre. It's really weird. When they take their drugs, man, the Japanese do not mess around. And then this one is a whole lot of fun. Show by Rock, Season 2. Think of this as the Japanese anime version of Josie and the Pussycats in outer space. That's all I can say. Josie and the Pussycats in outer space, one of my all-time favorite shows.
I love that.
It was the best. And this is about, it's not even Josie and the Pussycats. This is Plasmagica, the girls of Plasmagica. And they have to save Sound Planet. It's just so off the wall. It's so brilliantly bizarre and cool. And that's it for all of those. So a lot of fun anime and Funimation and Section 23 and Viz Media. They're all doing really, really great work these days. So anime is one of those spots where, despite all the move away from Blu-ray and DVD, they continue to really pump out great stuff. So it's all very cool. It's all very cool.
Wicked cool, just in concept.
There's some of it's really off the edge. I'm sure there are narcotics involved.
As will be in the films I'm about to talk about, because it's gay cinema, which is a ridiculous thing to say. I have no idea why I said that. Although it's probably true of this movie. A Place to Be, which is a lovely movie by Tadeo Garcia. This particular movie is just sort of contemporary romance between these two young men who've been sort of like passing each other for a while, and they sort of finally get together. One's name is Abel, he's a social worker, and the other one is an auto mechanic. His name is Diego. As is the case often today, their relationship sort of comes into question when one of them has a immigration status problem. You can think about these movies. You remember it was The Visitor from a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
So this is like one of those, only set sort of like in the gay world where it still sort of matters.
It does actually. That's interesting. There is actually. Because I know of instances where this has happened, and I can just see ICE knocking on my door saying, "Spill the beans." But I know of cases where gay men and women have become what we can basically call immigration mules.
Yeah.
Where people who needed to get papers, it's like, sure, I'll marry you.
Yeah.
It's like Green Card, right? With,
Gerard Depardieu, one of the first junkets I ever did.
Yeah, and there are situations where that will happen, and there's a surprising amount of that goes on in the gay community as well. Yeah. In fact, because I know of specific instances that I can cite.
Yeah, I got a few of those myself.
Yeah.
So. TLA releasing. Iconoclast film. So that's kind of a neat one. Russian Doll. This is a neat little thriller too. Sort of a lesbian thriller, but nevertheless a neat little movie just in and of itself. The neat thing about some of these films is, despite other than the fact that they happen to be set in a world where most of the characters are gay, some of these movies are just neat little movies. This would be one. This is a very sexy little edgy crime thriller. A young woman finds out that there is a plot for a murder. She's literally about to, drop a dime when she gets abducted and disappears.
Nice.
Another cop, a young woman, has to come in and try to figure out what happened to the first woman.
Oh, that's great.
So you end up in one of these with a little mystery on top of the mystery. Yeah. These things are, of course, all connected, and since it's a lovely lesbian drama, there's a lot of naked girl stuff going on too. So you got the neat little thriller and your hot naked lesbian sex. I love it, and I think it's fantastic. This is from Wolf. That's from Wolf. That one is from Wolf. Boy Undone. This is another very powerful little movie too. A couple of young men meet at a gay club, and the next day they get together and have themselves a moment. And when they wake up, the first boy finds that the second boy has no recollection of who he is. He did the previous night. And it's a real thing that's actually going on, what goes on in the rest of the movie sort of thing. Anyway, this is in Spanish with English subtitles. Again, a neat little thriller, no matter how you sort of shape this. If this didn't happen to be a gay couple, you'd still dig this movie, and you'd want to know what the heck was going on. From TLA as well. And then this one is a neat one, too. Let's see who this is. This is from Diku. This is 3 short films, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3 short films about what happens when a couple, a gay couple in this particular instance, allows a third person into their relationship for a night of fun. Now, you think that you can only get one movie out of that, but they're actually 3 short films. And I kind of like the way they figured out how to do it. All right, so in the first one called Cass, you have a couple, and they, for circumstances, allow a guy to come and sleep on the couch. He's going to sleep on the couch for a couple of days. They both sort of become attracted to him. They do the thing, and it means something to their relationship. Okay, that's fine. The second one, you have these 3 friends. They're all friends, and they do what they do, and they wake up, and the whole movie is about them trying to figure out what this now means to their friendship of 3. Totally different circumstance. You wouldn't think you could find a whole nother circumstance. They found yet a third circumstance.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You have a couple, and the couple has decided they're tri-curious, and they're going to do it, and they're going to do it, and they're going to do it, but you know what? They're ridiculously nervous, and they don't really want to do it. And so, the
Good
same
setup.
Circumstance, three different setups, a lot of fun. And
Good setup.
As a guy who loved movies like Bob and Ted and Carol and Alice way back in the day, I can tell you that was a lot of fun.
All right, let's hit up some new movies and maybe a little bit of some classic stuff. We've got some interesting 4Ks here. I'm gonna kick through these 4Ks and we're gonna discuss a few things. Tim, Disney's Wrinkle in Time.
No.
Now,
they said you couldn't. They said it was unmakeable.
See, and it's always been, this is one of those books you're supposed to read when you're in elementary school, and it's supposed to ignite your interest in reading, and it's a famous book for kids, and it's but yet it's very well written, and yada yada yada, so forth and so on. So
I never liked it, but go on.
Yes. So here's the thing: Disney always wanted to make this. And they figured, you know what? We now have Ava DuVernay, who's a celebrity director, and let's throw this her way and see if she can do it and get Oprah to sign on to this. And honestly, all I could think of was, yep, it's unmakeable.
Yeah, they were right the first time.
And it's nobody's fault.
No.
Everybody is they're working overtime to try to make this thing work, but they're fighting the limitations of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can see what Miss DuVernay decided to try to do. She simply decided to ignore a lot of the content in the book and put her own spin on it in terms of look and style, and hope that she could just overwhelm the material with originality or some sort of a vision. I'll put it this way, with a particular style.
Yes.
And no, it's just like David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas, a wonderful book that I love. And everyone said they can't do it,
Same thing.
And those sisters went after it, the Wachowski sisters, and Tom Hanks and Halle Berry. You know what?
And Tom Tykwer.
Hugh Grant, the whole thing. And you know what? They were right the first time.
Yeah,
can't be done.
Can't be done.
This one here too.
It's some things just they need to stay in print. But I mean, it's a noble. I don't want to even call it a failure. A noble effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting film. If you're a fan of the book, you're going to be furious because it just does not in any way capture the book. It's a thing unto itself. But it's I would almost love to teach a college class on films of this genre, which would include Cloud Atlas. It would include A Wrinkle in Time. There are a handful of others that there are maybe 5 or 6 others where it's like not a bad film. Not a good film, but it's it tells you why you can look at this and you can see the limitations of film and the limitations of print and what happens when an adaptation kind of goes off the rails and what people do to try to change that.
Different people feel different ways about this one. I'll be interested. Slaughterhouse 5 from I don't know, the early 70s.
Yeah,
some people love it. Some people have issues with it.
I'm a fan.
Fahrenheit, the original Fahrenheit. Same sort of thing.
Truffaut.
And there was a new one, Truffaut, and I love it. But some people feel like no, and then they just did it again on HBO with Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon, and some people are like no.
I haven't seen that. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. And no.
Yeah.
But I like the Truffaut film. But some people can't. And then I know I'm a fan of with the Rats, Richard Burton and with the one Richard Burton with the rats, and he puts the rats in the thing and goes.
1984.
1984. Thank you very much. I'm a fan of 1984, and I know you're not a fan of 1984. And lots of people say no.
1984 is a book that
The 19
You're talking about the
1984.
Yeah, the Michael Radford film.
Michael Radford film.
You know, where Richard Burton pulls out John Hurt's tooth, and John Hurt says, "Why are you doing this to me?" And he says, "I'm not doing it to you. You're doing it to yourself."
Beautiful. Well done.
Yeah, I remember. I actually went and saw that with Brian Burke. Believe it or not, I still remember that really well.
And that rhythmic score, David Stewart, and yeah. But
Dark
some people say no. Anyway, interesting point.
So next up, Annihilation with Natalie Portman. Talking about girl power. You know, what'd you think of this? I think Alex Garland, I think, is a very, very talented guy. But I think sometimes, I know everybody loved this, but I think sometimes sometimes he's a little too clever for his own good.
Alex Garland, Ex Machina, of course.
Yeah.
It's the film.
A terrific writer and a good director.
Oh yeah, 28 Days Later. I mean, you know, Never Let Me Go. I don't know. Look, I wanted to like it a hell of a lot more than I actually did. What I liked about it were the ladies.
Yeah.
But I know in my bones, if you swap those ladies out with three dudes and put them in the same movie, same dialogue, you know, more or less, it can't really be the same. But more or less the same, I wouldn't like it at all.
Gorgeous on 4K, I will say that. It looks really fantastic. And as does Ava's film, by the way. I mean, you know, 4K makes all those. I mean, she loads that thing up with color and design costume and everything. It just pops, you know. If you want to, honestly, put a wrinkle in time on your 4K. If you have it is a UHD bonanza. It is like UHD on LSD is what it is. That's what it is. It's it looks absolutely spectacular. Annihilation also very, very sharp looking in 4K. Here's a couple of 4Ks that I could kind of do without. A couple of dumb action movies. The Hurricane Heist, Rob Cohen movie that's just him trying to get back into the Fast and the Furious franchise that he launched and which then threw him to the side. This is about guys trying to, you know, rob the U.S. Mint. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. There's no conceivable way, and it doesn't. It's a big dumb Rob Cohen movie, and I'm so disappointed that he's made big dumb movies ever since he made Dragon: The Bruce Lee Story, which I thought was a sharp, smart film. I thought, Rob Cohen, you're going legit. No, then he just started making a bunch of crap. It's really too bad. So that's the Hurricane Heist. It's on 4K only because it's big and loud, and you know it takes advantage of the lossless audio in a very glorious way. And then from a few years ago, a movie that came and went, Escape Plan. You know, Escape Plan would have been a big deal in like 1986.
Yeah.
When you could put Stallone and Schwarzenegger above the title and it meant something. It doesn't mean anything now.
No.
Stallone, Schwarzenegger above the title might as well be like
you know, an Expendables film.
No, it might as well be, you know, James Caan and you know, and some other old guy. I don't know. It just they're too old to do this kind of a movie anymore. It just doesn't have its same resonance. There's an audio
particularly if it's not, you know, about the fact that we're very old.
No.
And that joke really only plays once, and they played it already.
And you know, Mikhail Hofstrom, who directed it, does a commentary with Miles Chapman, co-writer, which is perfectly fine. And there's some featurettes on here. It doesn't really belong on 4K as like an A-list thing. I don't know why they decided to kind of pump that one out. I'll tell you what is pretty cool, although I could do without a couple of these, is the 4-movie 4K limited edition of the Jurassic Park 25th Anniversary Collection. You get Jurassic Park, The Lost World Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic World. I'm sure, as everybody now knows, I despise Jurassic World. I think it's an absolutely horrible film that just takes the original Jurassic Park and swaps characters out for new characters, does much of the same stuff again, except badly.
Yeah.
Bad special effects, bad script, not a good movie. I know it made a ton of money. I know Universal is totally invested in it, and we're going to have to suffer through another one this summer.
Special rides and...
And I warn people, don't think this is the last time that a 4K set of this is being released. In about 7 months, you're going to have a 5-film box set.
Yeah.
Just in time for the holidays.
Yeah.
And it'll include the new one. So I wouldn't, you know, be too invested in this. Look, the original Jurassic Park is still a great film. Looks tremendous in 4K. Really, really a wonderful transfer. They include the 6-part documentary here on Blu-ray, the Return to Jurassic Park. They've got making of featurettes. They've got all kinds of fun stuff, deleted scenes and storyboards. All of this stuff is in just Blu-ray, and also Jurassic Park: The Lost World. The second one is not a bad film. I mean, it's kind of unnecessary. I am kind of a fan of Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah,
kind of, because it has the pterodactyls in it.
That's the one with Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti. And
it kind of tried to pave its own way a little bit, and so I'm not entirely opposed to it. But basically the only thing you need is the original Jurassic Park. It's still the original and the best by far. And then the last 4K here. We've got is The Matrix, finally on 4K Ultra HD, not being heavily marketed to any degree, but you can pop this into your Movies Anywhere account and watch The Matrix, which continues to be a visual feast, as long as we're talking about the Wachowskis, who were, of course, the Wachowski brothers at the time they made this. And the film is still really seminal. I know the style has been kind of turned into a joke and all the stuff. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it was still a milestone film.
Well, bullet time became an actual, phrase.
Right. It's the UHD on this is, or the HDR, I should say. The HDR is really, really great. It's really, really they did a very, very good job remastering it and making sure that you kind of captured the detail in all of the effects and the way that the real world contrasts with the virtual world. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. The effects really hold up, and the Movies Anywhere version is also very, very good. They don't lose a lot in the way that streams either. So, highly recommended there.
Excellent. Where are we going?
Let's go into this stuff here.
The new movie, kind of newish movie business, right? So Bruce Willis, Death Wish, that Death Wish series with Charlie Bronson from the early 70s.
Yeah.
Was an extraordinary series. At that time, there was just a context in which that movie, and of course you had Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry series running at the same time. And there was a context in which those movies sort of worked. Revenge movies, in the case of the Death Wish movies, just a regular man, something happens to his family. The police are not responsive, and he has to go out and do his own thing. And the Dirty Harry movies were a bit more problematic because he was a cop who had to take things into his own hands. So here we have Bruce Willis in a remake of Death Wish.
Yeah,
in and of itself, as just a sort of standalone movie, it's okay. It's an Eli Roth film, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce Willis is just about the right guy. He's probably the only guy that I can think of, really, who can pull this off. Maybe Denzel, to a certain extent. But this is just Death Wish, just a remake, straight up. Reimagining is what they call it, of the 1974 revenge thriller. He's a surgeon. And something happens to his wife, played by Elizabeth Shue. Love me some Elizabeth Shue. And his daughter, they're viciously attacked. You remember in that original Death Wish film, one of the attackers of the family, you know who one of them was?
Oh, I don't remember.
Jeff Goldblum.
Was he really?
Yeah. Dude, he's playing it so crazy. He's playing it crazier than all the other
I've got to go back and watch again.
Watch that. He's tall. He's always tall and skinny. He has all this hair, and he's just playing it completely insane.
See,
man.
I love that stuff. Especially The Graduate, right? When Norman Fell is saying to Dustin Hoffman, "What's going on in here? I heard a scream. I don't like hearing screams." And then you see this head pop up over his shoulder. Go, "You want me to call the cops? Want me to call the cops?" And it's Richard Dreyfuss, young Richard Dreyfuss, and that's the only thing he says in the movie. It's just hysterical, and who would have known that? Just like a decade later, he'd win Best Actor.
Yeah, it's just there. You just troll around old movies, you see neat stuff. This has a commentary with Eli and producer Roger Birnbaum. So you know what? If you're into the whole scene, this is an okay movie. It still works as good as the old one.
So here's a movie called Every Day, and boy, I want to be fair to this. I really, really do. But here's the problem with it. So Every Day is based on a novel, and I think the problem is that the novel itself is derivative. I really would love to believe that these people are that lightning can strike twice, but I don't. So here's the story. This is about a girl. This is a teenage romance thing. It's very Nicholas Sparks-ish in some ways, but it has an interesting It has an interesting angle to it, which is about this girl who has fallen in love with a person that is in a different body every single day. And as interesting as that sounds, it's been done. And here's the problem. In 2012, this was originally a web series called The Beauty Inside, which was not very good.
I remember. Did we talk about this on the show? I think you and I.
We did, because The Beauty Inside was remade as a Korean feature film a couple of years ago, which I think was number 4 or 5 on my top 10 that year. Yeah. Because it's brilliant.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
Incredible. And the Korean film, The Beauty Inside, basically took a web series and said, that concept is great, your execution sucks. You don't see the poetry in this. We are going to take this concept. We're just going to borrow this, and now we are going to we're going to work this the way that it needs to be worked. And that Korean film is amazing. This kind of schmaltzes it all up again and pretends that it's from this novel. I did not research when the novel was published, but I find it very curious that this is all kind of in the mix at the same time. So kind of hard to believe that the novel Every Day didn't completely rip off The Beauty Inside, regardless. Anyway.
Interesting thing. The Lodgers with an S, not the Alfred Hitchcock thing. This is actually sort of interesting. This is one of those sort of dark, sort of insidious sort of movies set at the turn of the century or so. You have these sort of twins. Sorry, they live in this sort of gothic mansion that is inhabited by a sinister presence that comes out at night, and it's punishing these twins by making them not allow anyone to cross over the threshold of the place, and they have to be in bed by midnight. This whole sort of thing. They're just living this sort of life of misery, and then a veteran comes to the home and sort of falls for Rachel, and they start to break all the rules. And the sinister presence has to do the stuff it has to do. Anyway, it's actually a very dark and dastardly film. It has the feel of one of those sort of lovely 1960s sort of 13 Ghosts sort of situations. A haunted house film or something like that.
Yeah.
Neat stuff. Plus lots and lots and lots of special features behind the film, behind the scenes documentary, deleted scenes, just all kinds of neat stuff. So check it out. It's actually quite a neat thriller if you're into that sort of thing.
So I got a couple of IFC midnight horror films here, which are both perfectly serviceable, and in some respects a lot of fun. IFC Midnight, they have the production value that kind of elevates them to a different level. So The Midnight Man is an adaptation of an Irish film from 2013, which is also included on here, by the way. This is a Blu-ray, just a straight up Blu-ray, not a combo pack. I think the Irish film is better, honestly, but it's fine. You get them both here, so you don't have to choose. It's also really, really nicely shot. It's pretty great widescreen. So make sure you have a big TV for it. So I don't know who Travis Z is, but Travis Z did the directed and adapted this, and it's kind of I don't want to say it's a parody, because it's not a parody, but it definitely riffs on a lot of horror archetypes, certain tropes that we see a lot in horror films, and it does it with a little bit of a wink, but it doesn't go completely into satire and Scream style mockery. It really it just sort of has fun with it. It says we're one of these kinds of movies, and we know that you know that, so we can wink at each other, and now let's have fun. And Robert Englund shows up in this because he has to be in all of these kinds of things. It's one of these things that kind of the Midnight Game itself that it references is like this ancient pagan thing, this ancient ritual, and it all centers around kind of in a seance type way, unleashing the spirit of the Midnight Man.
I love that concept.
Yeah,
and the Candyman.
Yeah, and it's there are a lot of pretty much where it's going to go, but it's still kind of fun. The other one is Devil's Gate, which oddly enough is not about a gate, and it's not about the devil. I'm sorry, I take that back. It is about the devil and a gate, and that's everything you need to know about it. Amanda Schull and Milo Ventimiglia are very, very good in this. Jonathan Frakes, I can't see in anything except Star Trek. He just always seems out of place to me now.
Next gen.
You know what I mean? I just look at him and I'm just like, why are you here? Shouldn't you be? Isn't there a starship missing a captain somewhere? Because you should be somewhere else. Anyway. So this is, all about devil forces and, this haunted farmhouse, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be. And it gets very creepy and scary and terrifying, and you have to really lean on the actors. And again, Amanda Schull and Milo Ventimiglia are both terrific. Jonathan Frakes, just out of place. But still, that's a DVD and Blu-ray combo pack, and again, from IFC Midnight.
Let's see. I got Gringo over here. This movie was so odd when it came out. I love the cast: David Oyelowo, Charlize Theron, Joel Edgerton, Amanda Seyfried, Thandi Newton, Charlton Copley. I mean, you hear all of that.
Good cast.
And you're like, wow, movie? No. It's about this guy, the black guy, David Oyelowo, who sort of like stumbles into a situation with these sort of like drug weed growing, selling people in Mexico, and it gets really dark and it's funny and all of that. But I'm like, that's okay. It really didn't need that. It's a Nash Edgerton film. And, of course, Joel is in it. I think this film exists because Nash and Joel are brothers, and Joel said yes, so Nash got to make himself a goofy little movie, but I didn't like it. I also have Game Night. We're talking Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams, and this should have been should have been a big, funny, sort of goofy,
Yeah.
No. This one is about this group of people. They get together, they have these game nights.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman's brother creates one of those sort of mystery evenings, supposed to be a murder mystery.
Yeah.
To figure out who did it. Then he gets kidnapped. They think it's a part of the game night. Turns out, no, he just got kidnapped. And this all turns. But again, it gets all dark, like very bad things. You'd think filmmakers would have figured out that don't work anymore. Bonus features on Game Night: An Unforgettable Evening, the making of Game Night. And bonus features on Gringo, the making of Gringo, stunts of Gringo, filming Gringo in Mexico. So you got stuff.
So Thoroughbreds should have been a better movie. Wish it were a better movie because it's basically Anton Yelchin's final film.
Yeah.
And that's sad, but he's very good in it. Olivia Cooke, who I adore. Let me just say how much I adore Olivia Cooke. I think she's great. Even when she's in movies I don't like, I just love her. And she was recently in Ready Player One, the Spielberg film. She's terrific in it. So Olivia Cooke co-stars here with Anya Taylor-Joy, and they are girls that grew up in suburban Connecticut and kind of went their separate ways, and now they've come back together. And one of them hates her stepdad, and suddenly everything goes all strangers on a train. and kind of, I mean, that's basically what's going on here. In sort of. In a way, it's the closest analogy I can come up with that makes sense. Anyway, it's I wish this was better. It tries to be darkly funny in ways that's maybe not quite appropriate, but I can guardedly recommend it just because the cast is so good. Yelchin is so good. Olivia Cooke is always really, really great. And I'm not that familiar with Anya Taylor-Joy, but she also is very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in other things. So I'm lukewarm on the overall deal, but I like the cast enough that it gets me over the hump.
Let's see. The steam engines of Oz. This is sort of like quasi steampunk reconstruction of the whole Wizard of Oz tale.
Don't need that.
A post Wizard of Oz tale. It takes place 100 years later. You don't need it.
Don't need that.
The Tin Man's like a bad guy in this version. I mean, what are you doing to the Tin Man? Tin Man's an okay dude. But in any case, a young woman who's really technically savvy has to go back to Oz and use her technical skills and mechanical skills to undo the doings of the Tin Man before his blah, 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 blah. You don't need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right, and then we have Trudy Styler's new film on Blu-ray, Freak Show, which is a whole kind of a flaunty drag thing going on here. It kind of feels a little bit in some ways like a knockoff sister film to Priscilla, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah.
A little bit, anyway.
Which
so
there's already a knockoff.
Billy Bloom plays kind of this, this fabulous kid, and Bette Midler is his fabulous mom, and then he has to go and spend time with his dad, who is not so fabulous. And that's kind of it, it's kind of coming of age, but with a very kind of queerish, draggy sensibility to it, and it's a little campy.
Foley or something.
Yeah,
Bird cagey.
It's not. I don't want to make it sound like it is, because this is part of the problem with films that have themes that are either directly or even tangentially LGBT, is that people think, oh, it's one of those movies, And faith-based films face the same problem. It's like they've become kind of this fringe, and people just assume they don't cross over. There's actually a lot here. This is all about people who are just, if you're a loner, and if you want to kind of fly your own flag, then you'll find something to latch onto in here. So, Freak Show is a tribute to all the freaks, or as Barry Manilow would say, those who made it through the rain, and bonded with those who got rained on too. So. Anyway,
kind of neat. This is
this is all. Yeah, these are new Mill Creek things. Mill Creek has a whole bunch of new stuff this month. And,
epic miniseries. I got mostly the stuff that I have over here is a little TV kind of business here. Blu-ray. You got the 10th Kingdom. I remember this series from the late '90s, maybe early 2000, because just about everybody of note was in it way the hell back then. You got Rutger Hauer, and you got John Larroquette and Kimberly Williams, who was in the Father of the Bride series of films, and Anne Margaret, and Cameron Manheim, and on and on and on and on. It was just a neat, sort of wacky series set in these futuristic, fantastical worlds, kind of like Hobbity, these 9 kingdoms in fairylands, where there are all these different sort of people running things. It only lasted a very short while, probably because it wasn't particularly good. Nevertheless, we have it here with the isolated score and some bonus features, including the making of the 10th Kingdom.
Got some good action stuff from Mill Creek. Mill Creek has so here's what's going on. There's a very good movie that didn't get enough credit at the time, and now that Dwayne Johnson is a bigger hit of a star, you might want to go and rediscover Gridiron Gang, new on Blu-ray from Mill Creek Special Edition. A lot of great special features here. Commentary with the director Phil Joannou and the screenwriter Jeff McGuire. Other bit in here. Now, Phil Joannou's career went a little bit south some years ago after, he was the hot thing, and then he made, what was it, 3 O'Clock High, did that Rattle and Hum and a few other things, and then just didn't really kind of flamed out. This is actually a good film. It's well done. He kind of restrains the style a little bit. The idea is about a bunch of kids, delinquent kids, at this camp. Dwayne Johnson is their inspirational coach, and how football becomes the thing that gives them purpose in life and a way of turning their lives around. We've seen this movie a million times, but you know what? There's a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great concept, and it's all centered on the characters.
Yeah.
And if you can make the characters work, that as predictable as that story is.
Say about sports movies. There are sports movies that are about the sport. And there are movies that are unequivocally and absolutely not about the sport.
That's it.
And generally speaking, the ones that are not actually about the sport are the better sports movies.
And that is this one, in fact. Look, it's based on a true story, and the characters are strong, and that's all that matters, is that you're connected to the characters, and Dwayne Johnson shows his stuff here. He's a terrific actor. If you want more than just that movie, then you're going to want to pick up their Action 9 movie collection, which includes Gridiron Gang, along with a lot of lesser stuff, which includes Universal Soldier: The Return, Double Team, Maximum Risk, The Hardcore, Second in Command, You Got Served, and Stomp the Yard. Now, I don't consider You Got Served and Stomp the Yard to be action films.
Stomp the Yard.
Yeah. It's a dance movie. I know. But nonetheless, you can get all of that in a single 9-film Blu-ray collection. And there's a lot of Van Damme on here, to be honest. It's Maximum Risk and Double Team and Universal Soldier: The Return and The Hardcore and Second in Command are all Van Damme movies. So they should have called this just the Van Damme box set with a Dwayne Johnson movie and a couple of dance movies thrown in for good measure. But they didn't. They call it the Action 9 movie collection. So look, I mean, it's inexpensively
priced. You're gonna
priced.
get that dance movie in your action movie collection.
Yeah. And then they also have an action triple feature, which include, this is just on DVD, not on Blu-ray. This includes Vehicle 19, which is crap, Junkman, which is crap, but it's HB Halicki, and it's there's a certain cult value to that. And Go, which is terrific. And Go is a really good film directed by Doug Liman, and it's kind of fallen off the radar a little bit, but it's a great, great movie.
I always love that movie.
It's a terrific film.
Sharp little Sarah Pauli.
Yep. Our good friend Stephen Marioni edited it before he went on to win an Oscar for Traffic and to do all kinds of other great films for Soderbergh. So.
Yeah, and really weird because Doug would go on with all those Bourne movies.
Yeah.
But he starts with the kind of little movie there with the girl.
Yep.
Interesting stuff. The Magical Legend of Leprechauns. This is interesting. I remember this series, which was a movie which was completely nuts, although the cast was insane. So it's about this guy played by Randy Quaid who moves his family to this Emerald Island, right, where he inhabits this little cottage that has leprechauns in it. And he makes friends with these leprechauns, and they hang around doing all kinds of wacky leprechaun. Let me tell you something. Colm Meaney, Kieran Culkin, Roger Daltrey, and Whoopi Goldberg are in this. Whoopi Goldberg wearing some crazy, I suppose, black leprechaun outfit. You tell me. I have no idea. But there it is. It was nutty as heck. 2 hours and 53 minutes worth of Randy Quaid and Whoopi Goldberg running around. Whoopi Goldberg in a leprechaun outfit. Nuts.
It's weird to me to think back and think that Randy Quaid and Whoopi Goldberg were in a movie together.
Yeah.
That was normal for that moment in time, but now I look back and I feel like that's a time warp.
And then at the end of the day, Randy Quaid would be the crazy one. Who'd have thunk? Whoopi would be on. Anyway, Seth Meyers and Mike Shoemaker's series, The Awesomes, the complete series right here in my hand. This is really, really cool. 30 episodes, all 3 seasons, bonus trailers, promos, and all that kind of stuff. This is obviously the neat little animated series about a group of superheroes who have these wacky sort of superpowers and don't actually do anything to save the world, mostly. Funny stuff, irreverent, a little bit blue, not the kind of thing you want to let the kids watch, but the Awesomes complete series. Blu-ray and digital.
Nice.
I have got this version of Mysterious Island, Jules Verne's Mysterious Island, is directed by Russell Mulcahy.
Oh my gosh, was it really?
Oh yeah, bro. First of all, it's you got Cal McLaughlin, you got Gabrielle Anwar, you got Vinnie Jones, you got Patrick Stewart in this version. This is Jules Verne. The guys they're in the prison camp and during the Confederate War, the balloon comes and they all of that. So and Russell Mulcahy and. Dude, 1986.
There's another director who just kind of fell out of everyone's graces,
and probably a while ago. But frankly, Russell Mulcahy and Highlander, of course, 1986, and before that, created some of the most important music videos of all time. Was Russell Mulcahy at the beginning of sort of music videos and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, this is really sort of neat just to see in general Russell Mulcahy sort of knocking it out in a classic Jules Verne story, Mysterious Island.
A couple more box sets here. Nothing that, is really going to, this is all sampler stuff. So there's a Crime Time TV box set from Mill Creek, Hot Streets and Cool Cops. This is if you just, you don't need a whole series. You just want just a taste of some cool stuff. So they give you Miami Vice Season 1 on DVD. And they give you Knight Rider Season 1 on DVD, and then 20 just assorted episodes of whatever, Dragnet and Dick Tracy and Sherlock Holmes and just a whole bunch of other stuff. This is just, if you want to have something to throw on TV and during a party and keep people distracted and, something to talk about, there you go. Get yourself the Crime Time Hot Streets and Cool Cops box set, and it'll do the trick. And then we also have the 5 family favorites. Try to say that 20 times fast. 5 family favorites. I don't know if these are really family favorites, to be honest, but they are actually movies that may be favorites to some family somewhere. So here are the movies. Are We There Yet with Ice Cube, which, is cute. I still think Are We There Yet I think it's fine.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a cute film. That's Ice Cube when he's getting into dad mode and trying to shed his sort of angry gangster persona.
De-gangsterizing.
De-gangster.
I call it the de-gangsterization of Ice Cube.
And he became a dad model. He's like the new Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby is now more gangster than he ever was.
All I know is I'd much rather leave my kids with Ice Cube than with Bill Cosby. If you had asked me that in 1998, who'd have thought that answer would change?
Oh my gosh!
Where are you going to drop your kids off? Ice Cube's house, please.
The other movies on here include Bandit and the Saints of Dogwood. What? It's not a family favorite. I never even heard of this movie. The Big Goofy Secret of Hidden Pines. What? I don't even know what this is. It's something to do with a baby Bigfoot, and it's very weird and strange. The Last Day of Summer, I have some vague knowledge of. And then the last one here is North, which is not good. That's a really, really bad movie. Just a very unfortunate film. So, if those have any appeal to you, then pick this up. But otherwise, I say just pick up Are We There Yet all by itself,
and you'll be good to go. The Merlin 3-film collection, 3 films about Merlin, or
nice.
Arthur and Camelot and whatnot. Merlin, Merlin's Apprentice, and Merlin of the Return. What's most interesting about this series of 3 films regarding Merlin is that one of them is good. It would be the 1998 film Merlin, which is really not even a film; it's a television series, and it stars Sam Neill and Miranda Richardson and Isabella Rossellini. And knowing that right there tells you why it's pretty damn good. I remember actually watching that film back in that series back in 1998 when it was airing. It was quite good. And then Merlin the Return 2000. I remember this, and the thing that I remember about it, this is 2000, is that Lancelot was played by a young Adrian Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick Bergin played King Arthur. So that was a pretty solid movie. That middle film, Merlin's Apprentice, 2006, is not a film. It's a television series, 185. To be honest with you, can't remember it at all. As I look it up and look at these names, Johnny Reardon, Jennifer Calvert, I don't know any of these people. But somehow they got themselves cast in a film about Merlin's Apprentice, so good for them. But the 3-film Merlin collection. 2 of them, one of them is good, one of them is interesting, and the other one I never heard of.
Well, the last 3 this week, these are all from Paramount. These are all TV shows, and we are giving them away. So say thank you, Paramount.
Yes, Paramount.
Say thank you, Paramount. We're going to give these away. So here's what we're giving away. The Shannara Chronicles Season 2, we're giving away 1. Now, here's the hitch. These can only go to United States addresses. So to our listeners overseas, we apologize. Paramount has asked that these only be that you have to have a U.S. address to receive these. So, for whatever rights reasons, whatever's going on. So, here's what we got: Shannara Chronicles Season 2. If you are interested in receiving 1 copy of the Blu-ray of Shannara Chronicles Season 2, we're only giving away 1, so there will be 1 winner. Send us an email to gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com with the word Chronicles. S at the end, please. Chronicles. Don't misspell it. No funny spellings. No like KRONY, no Z's. Just Chronicles. CRONICLES. And send that to gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com with your name and address in the body of the email. And this is still a really good show.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I wasn't sure if the season 1 would kind of peter out. Season 2 is a very interesting show.
It's very girl centric, and that's what I like about it.
Yep, same here. And I like the fact that it's doing that kind of magical Lord of the Ringsy thing in its own way. Mm-hmm. It's finding its own path there. It's not imitating Lord of the Rings. It's not imitating Game of Thrones. It's not doing any of that. It's sort of finding its own path, and the cast is good, and they're sharp, and they're good, and we're giving 1 away. Mm-hmm. We're also going to give away 2 copies of the 21st season of South Park on Blu-ray.
South Park is finally old enough to drink.
South Park is old enough to drink. That's bad news for Cartman. Anyway, this show somehow continues to because they just take on the headlines.
Yeah.
Every week they sit down and they just say, what was stupid this week? Let's make fun of it.
What can we be dumber than?
What can we be dumber than? And they just stay right on top of the headlines, the opioid epidemic, You name it, it's just whatever it is. They are all over it. They are on top of it, and it continues to be a really, really smart show. Mini commentaries on all of them with Trey and Matt, and they are always really fun. They're a little bit less profane than they used to be when that first season. Did you remember that in the first season?
Cartman.
Their commentaries were so profane that Paramount had to release it separately. It was not actually on the Blu-ray. You had to play it on your CD player and sync it up. It was ridiculous. So North Korea gets a jab here. They're terrific. So anyway, great season. We're giving away 2 of these. So send that email to gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com. Name and address in the body of the email, and in this subject line, just put Cartman. Cartman will filter that sucker right to the right folder. And then lastly, we are giving 2 copies to very lucky people. And you can apply for all these. If you win one, we're going to do them in the order. So just know that if you wind up winning these first 2, you're going to be ineligible for the one that I'm going to mention right now. Mm-hmm. And that's Jackass, the complete movie and TV collection.
Oh, wow.
So
on the heels of the release of the...
Yes, that new film.
Action Point.
Yeah, Action Point.
Knoxville movie.
So we are giving away 2 complete movie and TV collections of Jackass. And this is DVD, not Blu-ray. This is DVD. But we're giving away 2 of these. So if you want to get something, you're gonna enter all 3. If you don't want to risk being cut out of Jackass because you win one of the other 2, then only send us one for Jackass. Mm-hmm. Or for any of the others for that matter. So Jackass, complete movie and TV collection. I gotta say, I'm not a fan, but I have friends who've worked on this. It's like
I got into the biggest fight with Amy Nicholson, our colleague, in Laugh Community, because that movie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, stop, because she loves these movies.
You know what? Look, there's no point in even reviewing this. There really isn't. What am I going to tell you? Either you like people doing masochistic, self-torture and laughing about it, or you don't. It's what it is. She
made an argument for some of the visual humor in Jackass 3D that she thought approached Buster Keaton-esque.
Okay, that's too far. that's a bridge too far.
It's the one where he paints himself red, white, and blue, and then stands in front of a red, white, and blue wall to see if the bull will see him. Okay, that's a clever visual joke, but the movie's like 120 minutes long.
No,
so the rest of it is just falling down.
Part of this is, I will be honest. So anyway, send us an email to gods@cinegods or gods@digigods.com with Jackass in the subject line, name and address in the body of the email, and 2 people will win that. All of these contests, we're going to give you more time this time. All of these must be received. Time and date stamped no later than Monday the 11th. We're going to give you till Monday the 11th, the whole weekend, because we know a lot of people don't get around to listening to the podcast till the weekend. So, you got until Monday the 11th to get these in. And we're going to have some very happy listeners, thanks to Paramount. American addresses only, U.S. addresses only, unfortunately. So, but I will say this, and just closing this out on Jackass, because I grew up with a lot of Jackass friends, the people who would do things on a dare. I have one friend. I love him dearly. But, truly, if you said to him, and this is when we were in high school, and I doubt he'd still do it, but if you had said to him, here, I just mashed up an olive and I put it into this glass with ketchup and mustard and a few torn up pieces of paper and and some hot sauce and a pickle. I dare you to take a spoonful and hold it in your mouth. I will pay you $0.25 for every second you can hold it in your mouth. He usually made about $8 on that deal. It is what it is. The one time he didn't pull it off was we were at a place called Pizza Cookery. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it still exists. It's a little pizza place, the kind where they have the broken up peanuts on the floor and all that kind of deal. Right? Try to be rustic. Let's just litter the floor. And we're sitting in a booth, and one of our friends opened up the Parmesan cheese, which of course, as you know, Parmesan cheese, it comes in one of those shaker things at a pizza place. It's more sawdust than it is Parmesan. And he put it onto a tablespoon, and he said, I dare you to hold this in your mouth for 10 seconds and then swallow it. And he goes, I'll pay you $5 if you can do that. 10 seconds, $5 for 10 seconds holding that in your mouth and then swallowing it.
That's an hour's worth of work back in 1983, folks.
Yeah, and he said, oh, I'll totally do that deal. And so he takes that spoonful, puts it in his mouth, and of course, over the course of 10 seconds, it absorbs every single last drop of moisture in his mouth. And before he could even try to swallow it, he just started choking. And he started hacking and jagging, and he was going to try to do it. And then finally, he yacked, and he coughed it all out on top of another friend sitting right across from him. It was the biggest spit take I've ever seen. And there was a couple on a first date in the booth next to us. I think we made their date. They were laughing so hard. I think they had more entertainment than whatever movie they went and saw. Which
they're
was,
married now and they have kids as old as you guys were then. Probably doing the same kind of wacky crap. That's right.
Anyway, all right, that's it for this week. We will see you guys next week.